And we're moving on now to alcohol and deaths. And I have on the line Manuel Ferreira from PFK Electronics. Hello, Manuel.
Good evening, David.
Now, we kill about 12,000 people a year on the roads in this country, an average of 1,000 a month. Is that about right?
That sounds about right, David.
And you chaps have developed a most interesting little device. Now, do tell me about it.
Yes, David. Fortunately, we've been very fortunate in coming up with a very interesting device, which is called the alcohol vehicle immobilizer by the name of Alcolock. Very interesting. It's a device which you fit to a vehicle and will only allow the vehicle to be started or the person to drive the vehicle, provided he is below the alcohol level set according to national standards.
Now tell me, where are you going to fit this thing?
Well, it's actually fitted into the vehicle. It's almost the same as an immobilizer. You can actually call it an immobilizer. We like to call it a vehicle blocking system because generally we refer to immobilizers as vehicle security devices. But yes, it's fitted to the vehicle, and the sensor is either a portable wireless sensor, or alternatively it's fitted to the vehicle, what we call a TAB, a tethered alcohol breathalyzer.
So, I get into the car, or the lorry, or whatever, and I put my bum on the seat, and I put the key into the ignition, and it says, oh no, you must breathe into this thing before you can start the engine. Is that right? That
is correct. You will turn the ignition, you'll see that the car will be blocked. You then need to take the alcohol sensor and give a breath sample. The sensor will then analyze your breath sample. It will automatically establish whether the breath sample is below or above the alcohol set limit. If it's below, it'll allow you to crank the engine and away you drive.
Now tell me...
it just doesn't let you start at all. You are blocked.
Manuel, just tell me. I've had a really good party, and I'm going to determine to drive this vehicle. But the chap who's with me has been very abstemious. He's drunk Coca-Cola all night. So I get him to breathe into the thing, and then I leap into the seat and start, and off we go. Have you managed to work out a way of stopping that?
Yes, we have, David. That is, funny enough, I was waiting for that question because that is the first question I get at every presentation. What we have introduced, and it's been very successful, is we have what we call a random test. Can I just briefly explain what it does?
No, sure, you go right ahead, man. Well, we're all fascinated by this.
If you get into the car and you do get somebody to blow for you, the minute you are driving, within the next 5 minutes, it'll ask you for another sample. Either the person goes with you or you're now going to be forced to provide a sample. Now, generally, we fit these devices to vehicles. You know, it's what we call fleet vehicles, vehicles that carry dangerous goods. And if the person blowing in it does fail, it automatically sends a signal via GSM communicator to a control center, to a fleet manager, who it warns him straight away, look, your vehicle is a threat in the road and your driver is actually over the alcohol limit and he's impaired. Failing that, if the driver still has the company of the person, as a random sequence, it'll ask him to blow again. So in all instances, what we do find is the person who is sober might as well take over the driving, because you'd be foolish to be sitting next to an alcohol-impaired person if he has to accompany him anyway.
Now tell me, you've designed this for use in long-distance trucks, is that right?
That's correct. Actually, David, it applies to all sorts of applications. We've used it extensively. As a matter of fact, we've got about 10,000 floating around Europe. We've used it in taxis. We use it in fleet management, long hauls, short hauls. As a matter of fact, in Europe, it's becoming standard where taxis, buses, and trucks need to have an alcohol interlock or alcolock fitted to them.
Now, I take it you've got worldwide patents on this stuff, have you?
Yes, we do. Fortunately, we have taken precautions, and we've taken that into account.
Now, let me ask you a really nasty question. How many of the taxi associations in South Africa have signed up for this?
Well, I'm glad you've asked that, David. Again, I like these questions because, to my surprise, I've had a local taxi It's called Local Taxi Organization. They actually have quite a number of taxi owners in their books. And they approached me about 3 weeks ago, asking me to do a presentation, which I did, and then asking for a quote where they're pertaining to wanting to buy 500 systems, which really surprised me and gave me a good confidence that we do have some responsible people in this country.
Now tell me, if I want to put one in my car because I want to stop myself from misbehaving, how much is it going to cost me?
That is always a tricky question. Off the shelf, we have two devices, David. We have what we call the wireless device, which is portable, very suitable for certain applications, like, if you want to have private vehicles that are owned by a company. This is a nice application because you don't have this protruding out of your dashboard, and yet you still guarantee that your drivers are going to be sober, especially when they're entertaining, when you've got salespeople or people that are on the road a lot. That is a wireless device, which we sell for approximately off the shelf. It's around 6 to 6,500.
That's quite expensive.
Sorry?
That's quite expensive.
When you take in that you're looking at protecting an asset of $1 million or maybe over $1 million, I don't find that reaction at all, David, funny enough.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the device is mainly designed for trucks, buses. We do obviously cater for the private individual, but it's very small. It's normally you find the situation where there is an alcohol problem and either the family wants to install it because the children are misbehaving on a Friday. But our business really comes from the truck haulers, the transporting people. Those are the people. And now you're looking at saving millions of rands. If a tanker goes into a line of vehicles and is carrying dangerous goods, you can imagine the impact on the environment, the impact on death. It's just a mayhem if you look at it. And if you look at 6,000 rand to that, it's absolutely nothing. One's got to take into consideration that the alcohol is not just something that stops you from driving under the influence. It actually is a fleet risk assessment management tool, which what it does is if you fit it to a number of your fleet, you're able to distinguish straight away whether you have a risk. And then, of course, the fleet manager can make his assessment and decide the risk should either be pushing a pen or driving. So really, at the end of the day, it's an excellent tool. And I found that very, very much in South Africa, we've launched it over the last couple of months.
Now, before I get serious again, I just thought you should know that the sound engineer who's running this show, sitting opposite me, just sent me a note saying that'll be the day he ever buys one of these.
Well, you see, I'm sad to hear that as well, because really, at the end of the day, Dave, we all say that, but I think when we look within ourselves, we say, hold on, if we are a threat on the road, really, the last thing you want to do is actually be on the road. It's just one of those things.
Oh, he's hidden his head in shame now.
I don't know, he mustn't. Everybody has their reaction until they're faced with it.